Good morning. Good morning, GPAR. Thank you all for being with us. And good morning to Ken Weinstein. I appreciate you being with us this morning. I just want to take a quick second to echo everything Matt said. The annual general meeting is coming up. I hope to see everybody there. And if you're not investing in RPAC, you should be. So, Ken, good morning. Thank you for being with us. How are you today?
Good morning, Jake. Thanks for having me. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We don't really have Friday. It's like we work weekends. Like Friday doesn't. I don't know that Friday means that much to most of us. But yeah, thank you. I'm excited to introduce our membership to Jumpstart Germantown. But if you could just give us a little bit of your background, who you are, how you got started in the business, what you're doing now, when you're not, working on Jumpstart Germantown.
As I said to somebody last night, Jumpstart Germantown is my night job, but Philly office retail is my day job. So thanks again for having me. I'm still trying to figure out who I am, but I think most of us are. But I'll try to give you an idea. I'm president of Philly office retail. We are a real estate developer that buys and renovates vacant commercial properties. So we see ourselves as both financial and mission driven. While we're trying to make money and pay our staff and feed our families, we are also trying to remove blight from urban areas, Philadelphia and surrounding boroughs. We currently own 850,000 square feet of commercial space, maybe 200 residential units, but most of our holdings are commercial, everything from storefronts to office buildings, office suites, restaurants, brew pubs, a little bit of everything. We are focusing right now on the Wayne Junction section of Germantown and Nicetown. Some of you probably know Deke's Barbecue and Attic Brewing. Those are two of our tenants, Mertzbacher's Bakery. But around Wayne Junction, we have purchased 13 buildings and lots that we are about 2/3 of the way through restoring and reusing. So we've done some interesting projects like the restoration of the former Max Levy building into 32 apartments that are now called Autograph Apartments. We have taken a former charter school campus at 4811 Germantown Avenue and made it into institutional use, event space, office suites, and an adult daycare center. So that's just sort of a sampling of the type of stuff we do, but a lot of it is restoration of historic properties. Not that I've set out to do that, but because that is what other developers run away from. So we're happy to take that in our niche and run with it. So that's what I do professionally. I have lots of other interests. We'll, I'm sure, get into Jumpstart Germantown, Jumpstart Philly. But I also have a table tennis club in East Falls, trolley car table tennis, that I founded 13 years ago. I'm the co-founder and current chair of the board of the Mount Airy Business Improvement District. I run a nonprofit called the Trolley Car Teachers Fund that gives away $25,000 a year to Northwest Philly public school teachers to inspire them, to motivate them, and to give them what they need in their classroom. So that's just a few of the things I enjoy doing. You asked me who I am. What I love to do is pick and choose projects. And I think that's why I got into real estate development 35 years ago, so that I had that flexibility to not do what I felt I had to do, but do what I want to do every day. So I love coming to the office. I love fighting blight. And I love just making that happen.
Yeah, no, it's nice to hear a supporter of preservation, right? Where we see a lot of demolition across the city. I do think the integrity of Philadelphia, you know, preservation is a big part of that. So what is Jumpstart Germantown? And yeah, let's start there.
Jumpstart Germantown's a project that I founded 7 years ago. We are training, mentoring, networking, and loaning money to aspiring real estate developers. And it's totally open source program so that other people can grab our curriculum and do the same in their communities. So as a result, Jumpstart Germantown, or Jumpstart, is now in 15 other communities around the country. 7 of those are in Philadelphia, but there's also a Jumpstart Wilmington, Jumpstart Norristown, Coatesville, Harrisburg, Pottstown is starting right now. We're about to get Reading started, but we're also in Indianapolis, about to start in Waco, Texas. There's a Jumpstart Clearwater that I'm looking forward to getting them started so I can go visit them and take in some
during spring training, or
what's that?
During spring training,
exactly. Yeah, I've already given them my timeline, and they're going to fly me down there. And, you know, so life is good. But
which other communities in Philadelphia?
We are in Kensington. Jumpstart Kensington was the second program started. Jumpstart North Philly West, which is mostly Brewery Town and Strawberry Mansion. Jumpstart Southwest Philly, Jumpstart West Philly, and Jumpstart Tioga.
Great.
In addition to Germantown. Tioga has been very involved. Kensington's been very involved. And then we run a loan program in 6 of those 7 communities. Jumpstart Kensington runs their own loan program, where we are loaning to graduates, non-graduates alike, who want to improve their own community. So we're providing 85% loan to cost. They're hard money loans, so we're giving folks approvals in as little as 3 days. And we are, as of about a month from now, we are going to go citywide with the loan program. We're getting a new $7 million line of credit so that we can do that.
And for those who don't know, what is a hard money loan, or just?
Hard money loan versus a conventional loan is something that's a little more flexible. For us, you don't have to get an appraisal. For us, it means getting approvals, like I said, in 3 days instead of 3 or 4 weeks. You know, so that
internal processing and quick decisions.
And as this group knows, in a decent market like we're in right now, you got to move very quickly, and this is what we're teaching Jumpstarters. You don't have time to go out and get a conventional loan. It also, though, does come with higher rates, and we're basing our rates, which are lower than typical hard money rates. We're basing it on our cost of funds.
And what does the curriculum look like? What is it?
Yeah, so the curriculum that we're teaching, and you can go, by the way, to jumpstartphilly.com, jumpstartgermantown.com, gojumpstart.org is another website we have to show people how to start their own Jumpstart program, because we have a how-to guide. But the curriculum itself is 16 hours. I just finished a virtual class where we graduated another 125 people. We now have graduated almost 1,500 through our Jumpstart Germantown program. So it's 16 hours over 4 weeks. You can do the math, but it's 2 hours on Tuesday, 2 hours on Thursday, each of those weeks. And basically what we're doing is running folks through what I call the 7 jump steps of real estate development. Everything from finding your niche and putting together your team, which includes, by the way, your realtor, to sourcing properties, to construction, permitting and design, and then finally either leasing or selling your property, and also property management. So we take people through the gambit A to Z, but I think where we're unique and not like, some of these get rich quick real estate classes out there that are charging thousands of dollars. We also talk about, why are we doing this? It's not just putting money in your pocket. It's something bigger than that. It's triple bottom line developing. It's looking at how are you serving the community, not just how much money are you making. And so I think we are looking and training people to be like-minded developers. And the last piece I would say that why we're different than some of these other real estate development programs is we're trying to help people understand that sharing resources and sharing information and working together is much better than just competing with each other. Because I believe very strongly that instead of fighting over a piece of the pie, we can do much better by expanding the pie, and there's more than enough work for all of us.
Right. Rising tides raise all boats.
Very much.
So you talked about it briefly, but where did this all come from? Why did you start Jumpstart Germantown?
Yeah, well, why do you start anything? Because you see a need out there. And 7 years ago, I had a lot of people. I was in real estate full time. First of all, in the 35 years I've been doing real estate, about half of that I did it part time. I had other jobs. I was in the restaurant business, as many of you know, and thankful to be out of the restaurant business. And then I went full time into real estate development. And, a lot of people would come knocking on my door and saying, hey, I want to do what you do. Can you sit down with me for an hour? And, of course, you always want to pay it forward. So you sit down with folks. But was I really helping them to sit down with them for an hour and saying, hey, here's how I got started. You can do the same. Good luck to you. And they walk out the door and you never see them again. So instead, I started, and it started to get hot and heavy. I'm getting 5 or 10 of these requests a week, and it's taken a lot of time, and I'm seeing the demand out there. And the demand, particularly from local folks in the neighborhoods, not people from out of town, people who want to break in and want to improve their own community. So I started to say no to folks one-on-one, and instead I took some time with a Drexel intern. And we put together this, what was originally a 9-hour curriculum, now is a 16-hour curriculum. And I never had taught in my life, so it was a learning experience for me to actually sit with 10 people at a time, and now 125 at a time, to try to teach in a classroom what you really need to teach in person. Right? Because you can't learn as well as by doing. You really need to get it done in order to learn. So we're trying to teach what really we should be taking people through in person. So that's what we attempted to do. So it started with 10 people in my conference room. Eventually moved to 25 people at Mount Airy CDC. And then eventually we went to 65 people at a time, first at LaSalle and then at Philly U. And now we're doing it here at my offices. So we have been virtual through the pandemic, and we are about to go back to live, hopefully in February, March, here at our offices.
Is that the next group sometime in February, March? You'll start another?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we've been doing it most recently twice a year.
Okay.
And have a long waiting list, not a long waiting list, but we're feeling pressure to get people through the program. But at the same time, we're starting these new programs that are also graduating folks, which is great. So all of our programs, I think other than West Philly right now, are also running training programs and graduating folks several times a year.
So you said 1,500 graduates of Jumpstart Germantown. That's just your group in Germantown.
Correct.
How is it going in other areas? I mean, obviously you mentioned it's replicable. What kind of results are you seeing?
Yeah, we've had around the same amount of graduates in the other programs. Obviously, the other programs are newer than Germantown because we've been around 7 years. Kensington, as an example, has been around 5 years. And they're graduating smaller amounts per training program. And one of the reasons for that is they're taking less people because they're only accepting people from their community. So each Jumpstart program has their own criteria that they're using. And some of them are just doing super focused on their own community. Germantown is taking a broader approach because we believe that after years of redlining, after years of disinvestment, we need to really open up the spigot to turn the community around.
Absolutely. I mean, again, as GPAR is a lobby group with a 3,600 members, is there more that realtors can be doing in this space, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's room for everybody at the table, needless to say. But I would love for realtors to join our Jumpstart networking program, which people can sign up at jumpstartgermantown.com and join our events. We have every other week what we call jumpinars on specific subjects, and we've had a number of realtors say, hey, I know this subject really well. I would love to lead a jumpinar. So if you have ideas that either have or haven't been covered previously, we would love to have you. We get nice turnouts. There's no cost for jumpinars. We make our jumpinars into podcasts so folks can listen to them later. We also put our jumpinars on G-Town radio on Friday mornings.
Oh, cool.
So get nice exposure. So if anyone has ideas or thoughts of something they would like to cover, because basically the idea behind jumpinars are covering topics that I can't cover in depth in 16 hours of training. So we would love to have you for those. We, of course, would realtors make great community real estate developers. So I ask at the beginning of each of our training programs, I ask specifically how many people in the group are realtors and how many people in the group are contractors. Because if you're a realtor or you're a contractor, you now have a really good understanding of one or two of our 7 jump steps of real estate development. You still need to learn the rest, but you have a head start on everyone else who's going through the program. And I would say on average, 10% of our participants are realtors and 10% are contractors.
That's great. So besides signing up for Jumpstart Germantown, do you have any advice for realtors who want to develop or invest and become, get into this space?
Yeah, obviously you should go through our program if you don't feel you know enough. Even if you do, you're going to learn some new things. I guess be supportive of people going through our program. It's always tempting, and I know this from the realtor side. I was a realtor, by the way, for about 1.5 years. So
okay.
Back in the early 90s. I know Kathleen and Larry in particular probably remember me trying to sell properties. I was not very successful at it. Do much better at real estate
It's not for
development.
everybody, but
Yeah, not for everybody.
it
Exactly.
turned out all right.
It turned out okay. Thank you. I'm forgetting your question now. I got way off subject.
A piece of advice for realtors who want to develop real estate.
So help out people just starting to get into the industry. It's awfully tempting to help those or to work with those who buy over and over again, right? They're ready, willing, and able buyers. I am trying to teach our Jumpstarters how to be ready, willing, and able buyers, and we go in depth into that. But if you can lend a helping hand along the way to take on some of these folks and help them source properties. As I tell Jumpstarters, sourcing properties is the hardest part of real estate development. Construction, by the way, is the part of real estate development where they make the most mistakes and lose money. But a lot of people who never get into real estate development, it's because they never found that first property. It took me a full year to find my first property on East Philolina Street. And I share that with folks to encourage them. So if you can help out by finding them that first property, you may be helping a local community member get started and then, maybe do 5 or 10 over the next few years and really start to remove blight in our community.
That's great. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't, have a ton of questions for you. I just wanted to introduce our folks to Jumpstart. I think it's a great program and you're doing great work. And
thank you. And to also add on a few things. I mean, one is we are not trying to gentrify neighborhoods. We know it's inevitable. If gentrification is the displacement of longtime residents from a community, that's not what we're out to do. But any developer who tells you that they can improve a community without raising rents and raising market value, they're lying to you. Because if you have a block with 20 houses on it and 3 of them are vacant, and we don't renovate those 3 vacant properties, next year there'll be 5 vacant, the year after there'll be 7 vacant. But if we can renovate those 3 and keep that community and the fabric of that community intact, then we can increase the value of those properties. We can make the quality of life for people on that block better. But there will always be gentrification pressures. But the way we look at it is if you can get folks from within that community, maybe even from that block, to renovate properties on their own block or in their own community, then you keep that wealth in the community. And that's the way you fight gentrification, by, as you said earlier, all boats rising. So that's what we're trying to do. As a result of trying to keep it local, more than 90% of our graduates have been women or people of color who are historically left out of the real estate development process. So I remember several years ago going to a commercial real estate meeting, and 95% of the room was white and male. And I'm hoping 5-10 years down the road, that'll be a very different crowd in that room. And that's what we're working towards.
How do you, I mean, again, you spoke to it, but how do you deal with that, right? The conflict between wanting to improve neighborhoods without gentrifying, pushing people out. I mean, I bought my first property in Point Breeze. It was new construction. And I was grateful for all my old time neighbors who had been there forever. How do you deal with that perception and that reality?
Yeah.
Which I think it's both, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, there's a number of answers to that. One is we do coach our Jumpstarters to talk to their neighbors, to be involved in their community. So don't assume that because you're renovating a vacant, deteriorated house, that people understand the benefit to the community. So talk to people on the block, introduce yourself, become part of that community. But to me, Jake, it's all about balance. So, how do you fight gentrification while improving your community? One of the biggest ways you do that is by targeting scattered sites rather than what I call urban renewal. Don't knock down a whole row of houses and rebuild them. Renovate what's there, keep the fabric of the community intact. And by doing so, you will not produce fast, explosive growth. You will enjoy slow, steady growth. It sounds counterproductive, but it is what we are focusing on. I believe that we should have a healthy mix of affordable housing and market rate housing. So when some neighbors say, hey, we need more market rate housing to have higher tax receipts and that sort of thing to fund city services, they're right. And when you have neighbors that say, hey, we need more low, moderate income housing, they're also right. What we need is a healthy mix of both. And that's yet another way to fight gentrification.
Great. I'm just going to poke in the chat here. I saw one. We have a parent of a Temple student who volunteers with North Philly Jumpstart. Do you have any insight to that program or anything you can say about what they're working on over there?
I'm assuming that's the North Philly West Jumpstart program. It's been around 3-4 years, run by a woman named Robin Miller, who is, I believe she's a realtor and a small investor. And she, and I would say also the 3 women who started the Jumpstart Tioga program, are great examples that you don't need to be a super experienced realtor, super experienced developer to start your own program. You just need to care about your community. You need to be able to identify experts in the community, which include, realtors to talk about sourcing properties, to, graduate other people through the program. So yeah, Robin's very dedicated. The 3 women who founded the Tioga program, also in North Philly, are just really dedicated folks who have taught themselves real estate development, which is pretty cool.
Great. Does the Jumpstart program focus exclusively on residential, or is there a commercial component as well?
So we tell people that they should start in residential development. That's where I started. Doesn't matter, at one point for several years, I was mentoring NFL players through a Warden program. And I don't care if you have 5, 10, 15 million or $15,000 in the bank. You start the same way. You start on single family houses, you make mistakes and maybe even lose money, and then you move on to the next project.
Lower the risk threshold.
Yeah. So, NFL players used to say, well, I got 10 million in the bank. Should I buy a strip shopping center? No, you don't know the business yet. That would be the wrong move. So we tell people start in residential, and some people successfully do residential their whole lives, and that's great. But a lot of Jumpstarters have already done 10 or more properties and are now want to get into commercial. So we started a program called Jumpstart 2.0, and we graduated our first 25 folks last year and hope to do this again. But it's taking people who have done at least 10 residential properties and teaching them either mixed use or commercial, and how to start taking storefronts and even larger, and which is a more sophisticated type of real estate development, as most of you know. And you can't just jump into it if you don't understand triple net rents, if you don't understand how to pick and choose commercial tenants, if you don't understand code issues associated with mixed use, you're going to need more training to get there.
That makes sense. I had a question and I lost it, but one of the questions here, in terms of your funding, being a Jumpstart graduate is not a requirement. Is that correct?
That's correct. We do have a half-point differential in interest rates. So Jumpstart graduates do get a slightly lower interest rates than non-grads, but otherwise, no, it doesn't matter.
And can you join other Jumpstarts if Jumpstart West Philly's full? Can you join a different group?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said earlier, Jumpstart West Philly is recharging itself with new leadership. Developer by the name of Ryan Spack has recently taken over that program and will be starting it up again. But it depends on the Jumpstart program. As I said, with Jumpstart Kensington, they want folks from within the community. So some of them are open, some of them are closed. The next Jumpstart Germantown program that I mentioned will be February and March. We are going to give preference to Germantown residents for the first time ever. But we expect that there will be room for non-residents too. So definitely apply.
Cool. For anybody who has specific funding questions, I'm gonna we'll forward the Philly office retail or Ken's contact info, so you can reach out directly.
And a lot of the information, Jake, you will also find online at jumpstartgermantown.com under loans. We feel very strongly to be as transparent as possible to put all the information right there so that people can find it.
And I did, Stephen, mute yourself. All right. So, thanks. All right. So unless I have any, does anybody have any questions for Ken before we wrap it up here? Last call if you want to jump in the chat. But
I just had a quick question. How you guys doing?
Hi, good morning.
I would love to become a volunteer. How do I be part of the Jumpstart program?
Yeah, great. Thank you very much. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say in closing that if any of you have renovated at least 10 properties over the years, we would love to have you as a mentor. We have around 30 mentors in the Jumpstart Germantown program right now, so we don't need to overwhelm you, but we would love to have you on board. And if you're interested, please email me at ken@phillyofficeretail.com. And I can hook you up with our Jumpstart staff who will send you expectations to make sure this is something that you want to do. And I would say the other primary way of being involved is, as I said before, if you have a subject that you feel very passionate about, because I tell everyone they should be following their passion, we would love to have you present at a Jumpinar. You can, again, look at jumpstartgermantown.com under Jumpinars to see what Jumpinars have been presented previously. I might give you an idea of what types of subjects you want to cover.
Very good.
Like pesto.
Okay. Yeah.
all right.
All right. Thanks,
Cool.
honey.
I'm just gonna put this. I've linked the Jumpstart Germantown website resources and Jumpstart at phillyofficeretail.com.
I don't know that that's a real email address.
Okay.
Philly, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe it is, but people can email me, ken@phillyofficeretail.com, and I will connect you up with the right staffer, depending on what you need or whether you'd like to help.
Okay, I'll put that in the chat there. Again, thank you, Ken. This was great. Really, really good stuff, and appreciate what you're doing. And yeah, thank you for being with us this morning. Thank you, GPAR, and Ken's email's in the chat if anybody has any questions. Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks for having me, Jake. It's nice to see a lot of friendly old friends in here this morning.
Yeah, keep up the good work.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.